The new Dungeons & Dragons minifigure series has just hit store shelves, and they look absolutely fantastic. Today, I want to do a review on them, as well as make a tier list and rank them from the perspective of someone who makes a lot of custom minifigures. A quick disclaimer is that I know absolutely nothing about D&D, and my review is purely based on how good the figures and parts actually are. Nevertheless, I think it's the best CMF we've ever gotten, and let's get into the review. Starting off, we have the Dragon Paladin, and this is going to be the most sought after fig of the CMF, and I can absolutely understand why. Every part of this figure is just perfection. The dragon head looks really cool, although personally I don't find too much use in it. The new mace piece looks awesome. The prints are absolutely fantastic, but I think the best part is this armor piece, which combines these two pieces and is absolutely perfect for any sort of specialized or high-ranking knight. Under this breastplate, we have a fantastic torso print, and the leg printing is pretty good as well. I would have preferred more of a generic armored look for both of these, but it still works really well, and I still think I'll be able to create some cool customs with this. The back print also looks fantastic, and the side printing on the legs and arms are just amazing as well. Overall, this is my favorite minifigure in the series, and I'm definitely going to be putting him at S tier. Next up, we have the Forest Druid, and this is another amazing figure of this series. A standout part of this fig is this new hood with the antlers, and I think that could be really cool on some sort of elf. I also really like the bird that this character includes, and the torso print is just lovely. This is another torso that has an amazing front and back print, and that really gives a lot more versatility to the torso, and you can make a lot of unique customs with either side. Also, this cape is awesome. It's a dual-sided dark green and dark red cape, and I think you're going to be able to make some really cool customs with this unique shape and unique colors. Now with this minifig, we actually have 4 different face prints. We have a dual-sided masculine head and then a dual-sided feminine head. This is extremely useful if you want to get more flesh-toned face prints, although me personally, I only use yellow tones, so it's not as useful for me. Overall, I think this minifigure is super good, and I'm going to put them in the A tier. Next, we have the Dwarf Barbarian, and this figure has some excellent parts and definitely a lot of custom potential here. First off, we need to talk about this axe mold, because this is absolutely a very big standout from this figure and a big reason why I want to get a good amount of these guys. I would love to see this in flat silver, but I'm even just happy having one in pearl dark gray, and I want to give it to some special minifigures. The front and back of the torso look awesome and definitely would be great for some sort of barbarian or Viking custom. In my opinion though, a huge standout is the arm printing, and I think this is going to be really versatile as that sort of long gloved look looks really good. This is once again another minifigure that has a dual-sided masculine head and a dual-sided feminine head, but I definitely like the feminine head a bit more. Overall, I think this minifigure and their parts are really good, and I'm going to put them in the A tier. Next up, we have the Tiefling Sorcerer, and the purple color scheme is pretty cool, but definitely the standout for this figure is this dragon. This new mold is awesome and is super versatile, as it can be used as an actual baby dragon or as like a mascot on a standard. As for their other accessory, there's this pink bolt of magic, and although I can't see this being super useful as pink is a bit of a strange color, I definitely want to use this for some sort of custom. When it comes to the actual printings of this figure, they are extremely nice, although purple is a bit of a niche color. The detailing on the dual molded legs look really good, and the front and back printing of the torso look absolutely lovely. The printing on the arms also looks really good, although it's a bit hard to incorporate into other torsos as purple is once again a pretty rare color. I don't think the tail or hair piece are quite as useful for me, although I may try to use the hair with a Nexonite demon. This is another figure with a dual-sided masculine head and dual-sided feminine head, and it really seems like a lot of the feminine heads just look a bit better. Overall, I think this minifigure is really nice, but I'm going to put them in the B tier as their parts aren't quite as versatile and usable as some of the other figures. Next, we have Strahd von Zarovich, and this guy has this new rat mold, which I think is honestly one of the standout parts of this figure. The rat has these red eyes, which I think looks sick, and I think it gives it some versatility to either be used as just a normal rat or maybe some sort of possessed rat. When it comes to the printing is pretty well done. The dual molded legs look pretty good, and the front of the torso also looks pretty good. I could use it as some sort of noble. The arm printing looks decent, although the other arm has some of the cape printing on it, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't like the back printing on this guy because I really hate that printed on cape look. It makes it kind of hard to use the torso without an actual cape. He has a dual-sided face in dark bluish gray, and I think it's pretty cool. Now, although the rat is really nice, the rest of the figure is just meh for usability, so I'm gonna have to put him in C tier. Next up, we have the Githyanki Warlock, and this is actually the only yellow skin toned figure of the whole series. I think a standout part of this figure is this new knife mold, and it actually comes with an extra one, which is super cool to get. This is perfect for some sort of assassin or ranger type fig, and I definitely plan on using this in a lot of customs. The torso and leg printing on this figure is absolutely beautiful, and the torso also has a really nice back print, and they overall just have a lot of versatility. I also want to mention how nice it is to get another hairpiece that works for yellow elf ears. That definitely adds a lot to the figure. Now, when it comes to face prints, this character also has a dual-sided masculine head and a dual-sided feminine head, and I think they both look really good. Overall, I think all of this minifig's parts are extremely versatile and useful, so I'm going to put them in the S tier. Moving on, we have the Mind Flayer, and as someone who's not into D&D, this is definitely not one of my favorite figures. The brain mold is a pretty unique piece as it actually fits on someone's head, and I think it's somewhat of a cool concept for maybe more of a D&D world, but it's not really something I could see myself using in my fantasy world. The printing on the front and back of the torso is honestly pretty cool, and I could see myself making some sort of cult with them. The dual printed dress piece is also pretty cool, and that could be used for some different wizards or whatever. The arm printing is honestly not bad aside from the little bit of pink on it, but I think I might be able to use it in some customs. Overall, I'm not the biggest fan of this fig, but I'll give him C tier because there is a few things that are useful. Next up, we have Tasha the Witch Queen, who has this new hat and hair mold and some pretty cool accessories. She has a printed book piece with this pretty unique 1x2 tile in it as well. Her prints are the most standout part of this figure in my opinion. The detailing on the torso and legs is just amazing, and the front and back of the torso both look excellent. I also think a standout part of this fig is the arm printing, and it's super clean, and I think it can be used for a lot of different types of customs. She also has a dual-sided face print, and both sides look pretty cool. Overall, I really love the parts of this figure, and I'm gonna put her in the A tier. Next up, we have the Elf Bard with this new printed loop piece. I like having this elf hair piece in white, although I think I'm going to color in the ears with yellow Sharpie to make it match my yellow tone face prints. The torso has pretty nice front and back printing, although I think it might be a bit specific what types of figures you can make with it. The legs, on the other hand, are a lot more versatile of a print, and I'm definitely excited to make some customs with them. This minifigure also has a dual-sided masculine face and dual-sided feminine face, and I think they both look pretty great. Overall, I think this minifig is solid, but definitely not as versatile as some of the other minifigs, so I'm going to put them in the B tier. For the next figure, we have the Aarakocra Ranger. Now, this figure I'm extremely split on because I could care less about the eagle parts, but the other parts of this figure are honestly really good. A standout part is this new dog mold. I absolutely love the scale of it as a smaller dog compared to a lot of the other dog molds we have, and the detailing on it looks really great, and I'm overall really happy with this. The bow piece isn't a new mold, but it's nice to get it in dark tan, and it's just a great inclusion to the minifigure overall. The actual printing on the legs and head do look pretty good and pretty detailed. They're just not something that I'm a fan of personally for my own fantasy figures. The printing on the torso, on the other hand, I absolutely love. On the front and back, it looks really good, and I think it can be used either way. I'm a big fan of the detailing, and I think it's one of the more versatile torsos of this series. I'm pretty mixed on the parts of this figure, but I think I'll put it in the middle at B tier. Next up, we have Zaz Tam, and this guy is a pretty cool figure, but I feel like the customization of his parts are very limited. When it comes to his printing, it doesn't look horrible, but you're pretty much limited to having to do some sort of skeleton because of the visible bones on the front, and then the back of the torso has barely any printing, so that's not really a viable option either. The double-sided dress print isn't bad, but I think it's going to be a bit hard to match up to many torsos. The red skull piece is actually pretty cool, although it's not something that can be widely used all the time. Overall, I'm going to have to put him in D tier because his parts are just really niche and not terribly usable. For the final minifig, we have the Lady of Pain, who might be one of the least customizable minifigs in the entire series. Her headdress is a cool looking print, but I don't know how you could use this outside of explicitly making the Lady of Pain. This new cape piece is actually pretty cool, but it's sad that it comes in such a niche color. I hope we get this in some other colors in the future. The front and back printing on the torso and dress pieces are honestly really good, but due to it being orange, I just don't see much use outside of maybe making an orange wizard. It's a well done figure, but for me, I'm gonna have to put her in the D tier. So anyways, that is it for my review on the D&D minifigures. I tried to be as critical as possible with my rankings to balance out the tier list, but honestly, I think all of these figures are extremely well made. Let me know your thoughts on my tier list in the comments below and if you guys would change anything. Also, comment below what your favorite figure is and why. If you haven't already, subscribe because I make LEGO Castle content every Saturday. As always, thank you for watching.